coming up on that time.
Yeah, just deciding the 15 and 22nd.
It's gonna be the simple as that. You can't even do a
I
non-recommendation.
can only do that when I've got
Okay,
see what I got at least half.
so it's a really short night tonight.
So
That's gonna push us to July.
well, we're gonna try, I think, because we've got the single item on, we're getting a workshop. On subject decision. With action, so we're gonna try to shoot it.
Okay, well, thanks, Jake. Very good. Catch you guys next time.
Oh, yeah, I guess there is no reason for him to hang around, is there now? So what we'll do is we'll set this for the workshop in the, on the 21st.
Okay,
So we'll turn it into an action item.
okay. So, I guess we're live,
Cool.
so I don't know how to, we gotta vote in who's gonna be the chair.
Yeah, so, thank you for this evening. Our chair is out and our vice chair is out this evening. Therefore, what we need to do is have the board, the planning commission vote on who they want to be the chair for the evening. And then we'll be able to take it from there and have them open the meeting. So,
Before you start, Derek, does Peter have to recuse himself?
on the actor,
So if we had a quorum with Peter here? Is it getting too sticky?
yeah, it's too much of a,
Conflict?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's usually perceived conflicts, this is a direct potential.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, unfortunately.
Do we need a motion on
Well, have you taken the vote? See, the meeting hasn't started yet. I mean, it has, but it hasn't until we have a chair. Officially, the meeting can't start until the chair. So, who wants to be the chair? Okay. Who supports Mike Vincent as chair? Okay. So, that's that. We're done on that one. So,
Okay.
Mr. Vincent, if you would start. and-
Okay, so it's 7 PM, and I call the June 7th, 2022 regular meeting of the Franklin County Planning Commission meeting to order. Before we get to into the meeting, I will turn things over to staff to discuss the meeting format.
Thank you, Chair. Tonight's meeting will be conducted through a hybrid in-person online meeting platform. Should an individual planning commissioner become unexpectedly disconnected, please rejoin the meeting at your first opportunity. The record will reflect your attendance. The meeting will be paused for up to 10 minutes. It just dawned on me I don't have any planning commissioners attending, so I'm not going to finish reading that part. So for those folks watching, please mute the phone when not speaking if you are calling in. If you wish to comment or need clarification on a public hearing item, please send us an email at planninginquiry, all one word, at franklincountywA.gov before the public comment period closes. Once public comment period has closed on said item, comments will not be included as part of the discussion. To those in attendance, please remember to speak into the microphone when addressing staff or public comments testimonies. That way, the comments or statements are picked up by our recording. And Chair?
Okay, will planning staff please call roll and announce whether or not we have a quorum?
Mike Crowlis. Mike Vincent.
Here?
Layden Lowe. Melinda Didier. Peter Harpster.
Here.
Manny Gutierrez.
Here.
Stacy Knifton.
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Will staff in attendance please introduce yourselves?
I'm Derek Broughton, Director of Planning and Building, Franklin County.
Ryan Nelson, Planner 1.
Aaron Gunderson, Planner 1.
Okay, so now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So the approval of the last agenda, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, so it has been moved by Commissioner
Knifton
Knifton. Okay, great, thanks.
and Harpster.
And Harper, okay, got it. Approval of the minutes, I'll entertain a motion to
Wait.
approve. Okay, go
We didn't
ahead.
take a vote.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
You got a motion, move.
So it has been, okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve, well, wait a minute. It has been moved by
Knifton,
Knifton.
seconded by Harpster.
by Harpster. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Motion has been carried. Approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of May 3rd, 2022 meetings.
So moved.
Okay. Commissioner Knifton, and seconded? Second?
I'll second.
Okay. Go ahead. Peter, okay. So the motion has carried.
Nope. Moved and
Yeah.
seconded. Call
Oh,
for the vote.
okay. Sorry.
All right.
All right. So basically, let's, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion has carried. It's now time for the public hearing portion of our meeting. Good evening and welcome. I will turn things briefly over to our staff host, who'll go over the ground rules for tonight's hearing.
Here are the ground rules for tonight's hybrid hearing. In-person public testimony will be divided into two groups, for and against or neutral. They will be called upon to speak during their allotted in-person public testimony section, giving their name for the audio record and position on the proposal. Call-in public testimony will be called upon individually during the call-in public testimony portion of the hearing, giving their name for the audio record, as well as if they are in favor, neutral, or against the proposal. For those calling in, please mute your audio when not speaking. Emailed comments received during the public hearing will be read into the record by staff after the call-in public testimony section of the hearing. All comments and questions shall be addressed to the Planning Commission and should be relevant to the application and not be of a personal nature. Each speaker shall have 5 minutes to provide testimony and shall speak into the microphone. Please avoid repetitive comments. If there are a large number of speakers who are part of a group or organization, please select a representative to speak on behalf of the group. Behavior such as clapping, booing, hissing, or remarks is prohibited. Every citizen here tonight should have the opportunity to testify without such distractions.
Okay, thank you, Derek. Are there any questions regarding the public hearing ground rules? Hearing none. Turning for a moment to our commission members, let's keep in mind that we are prohibited by law from communicating with members of the public on the subject matter of these hearings, except in these hearings. We also may not participate in a decision in which there is an appearance of conflict of interest to the average person. So let's take a minute to consider as to the matters which are before us for hearing today. Whether we had any ex parte communications, whether we have any ownership interest in the properties, whether we have any business dealings with proponents or opponents of the matters, or whether we have business associates or immediate family who may be either benefited or harmed by a decision in these matters. Are there any commission members who have a declaration at this time regarding any of the items on the agenda? I have a declaration. It's the same one I made last time, but I've had some business dealings with Underwood over the
Okay.
years. I don't think you're doing that one, though, but just to
Well-
state for the record.
Okay, so this is a call out for any of the items on the agenda, so we
Okay.
can get that established
Right.
before we move into the specific items.
Okay.
So for the Underwood, same declaration you've had, but it's been a while.
Yeah,
But you do not feel a need to recuse yourself because it's been a while.
I don't. I just basically just some
Pretty much
construction work.
anybody that's been here for 20 years out there's probably had some business dealings with each other at some time. Usually this is referencing
Right.
recent or substantial.
Yeah, no business interests or anything like that, so. Okay, so let the record show, are there any others or
Yeah.
declaration?
Again, as always, I work for the applicant's representative for Mr. Underwood.
So basically, two things regarding item 2 now. One, based on that, we won't have the required number of planning commissioners able to participate, because
Right.
Mr. Mr. Underwood is a client of his. They're
Correct.
actually facilitating this
Okay.
application, so. So that'll, but the ergon, the first item, that we do have an adequate number, we have a quorum, so we are able to proceed with that item.
Okay,
I guess I'm in the same boat on the Underwood one as Mike. It's a distant one, but they have done some custom work on my farm before. So.
yeah.
So we're now down to the second part.
So the order of the hearing shall,
Well, actually, real quick, is there anyone in the audience this evening who would object to any commission member hearing any of the items on the agenda? Hearing none.
okay, so, hearing none, let the record show there were no objections. And so the order of the hearing shall be as follows. Planning staff shall provide a staff report. The commission may ask questions of staff. The applicant or applicant's representative presentation. In-person public testimony for, against, neutral, regarding the project, if any. Calling public testimony for, against, or neutral regarding the project, if any. Email public testimony for, against, or neutral regarding the project, if any, to be read into the record by staff. Final staff comments, clarification of public statements that occurred during the testimony portion of the public hearing, close the public hearing, and planning commission discussion of the proposed action. Are there any procedural questions before we begin the public hearing?
Hearing none.
Okay, hearing none, we'll go to item number 1. Is a public hearing for file CUP 2022-02-SEPA 2022-09 is a proposal for the expansion of existing asphalt plant, which is allowed only with an approved conditional use permit in accordance with Franklin County Code CH 17.66, Table 70-1. The zoning for the property is general industrial zone, 1I-2, with a rural industrial comprehensive plan land use designation. I declare the public hearing for CUP 2022-02 slash SEPA 2022-09 to be open at 7:15.
That was authority.
I need to, well, I'll mute that with this over here. I missed. It's my first time, okay?
You're fine. Yes, thank you, Chair. As stated, this is for conditional use permit 2022-02 as Ergon asphalt plant expansion. The address is 3152 South Landing Road. There is no associated parcel number as the property is located with the Burlington Northern San Francisco. Isn't that what the, Santa Fe, that's it. Yeah, I was like, that ain't San Francisco. BNSF right of way near South Landing Road. So it's actually in a right of way. It's not on a designated property, which is not uncommon along rail lines for industrial type uses. General industrial, I2 is the zoning, rural industrial is the comp plan designation, and the current property size of the property, it's not really the parcel, is 6.92 acres. It's kind of hard to articulate that specifically, the site, I should say, of the plant. So, as mentioned, it's located north and west of South Landing Road, east of Glade Road, North Road, and south of Alder Road. And the request is to expand an existing asphalt plant. Area to be used is approximately 1.14 acres of the northeastern portion of the site. And the CUP is for the addition of 2 asphalt emulsion above ground storage tanks. And this is what I was talking about. See, this property goes for miles, like 30 of them, because it's just the right of way. But the facility is located right along this edge on the northwest side of the tracks, and the approximate location of the new tanks is right here. So we've got some existing ones, and then point. There's a proposed site plan. That's overall, that's close up, and as mentioned, these are existing. These would be the 2 site pictures. That's the notice sign posting. On or about April 28, 2022, staff sent notices to technical agencies, property owners within 1 mile in the Franklin County Graphic, notifying the public of the action and requesting comments. Also, pending land use action sign was posted on the property, and a SEPA determination of non-significance was entered into the SEPA registry. Under the general land use, general industrial zoning, or I2, an asphalt or concrete plant is a permitted conditional use. So it's what we call a listed conditional use as opposed to unclassified. Asphalt plant has been in existence and in use since the mid-1980s and has gone through multiple owners and multiple company names. The current owner or operator, I don't know exactly what the arrangement there is Ergon Asphalt and Emulsions Incorporated. Formerly SEM Materials Energy Partnership LLC. Oh, that's what you guys used to be called. Okay. Had submitted for a building permit in 2017 to add 2 new asphalt emulsion tanks. Number 2A and 13, upon review of the application, the planning director on February 17, 2017 provided notes stated, and I can read all this, but this is the key. In the future, any extension or increase in nonconformity, it's not so much that there's an increase in nonconformity there, but that's technically the case because of the fact we have a facility located in a right-of-way as opposed to on a property, blah, blah, blah. It's technically non-conforming, but I personally wouldn't have used this language because it creates confusion, but it is what it is at this point. But increase in nonconformity will require the applicant to obtain a conditional use permit. So that's a big part of what triggered this requirement. When we issue a conditional use permit, that establishes precedence or the history or the static setting of that proposal. Any changes or modifications to that proposal that are outside of what was issued in the original CUP or any subsequent amendment to that CUP will generally trigger a CUP, a new CUP, or again, technically in this case, this would be an amendment to the existing. But they're all processed the same. So when it goes to the board, I may title it as an amendment to the CUP just to clear up any of that confusion. So I just explained that. We did receive comments from 2 tribal government agencies, the Yakima Nation and the Confederated Tribes of the Colville Reservation. The Colville Tribe, or I'm sorry, the Confederated Tribes of the Colville Reservation concurred with the inadvertent discovery plan. The Yakima tribe requested an archaeological survey be conducted prior to any ground disturbing activities. You know, when we're looking at this facility and site and the specific area, we basically, our recommendation is only to request the inadvertent discovery. It'd be different if this was raw land or never had been touched or anything like that, but they drive around, it's gravel, it's been graded, that facility has been being used that way, and that area has been being used that way at least since 2017, but potentially since the 80s. So it's extremely unlikely there's anything there. Also, DAHP, the Department of Archaeology and History, they didn't provide any comments on this either. So we kind of have 2 agencies saying inadvertent's fine. We got 1 saying they'd like us to do the more intensive. So our recommendation is to maintain the inadvertent protocols as opposed to requiring them to do an archaeological survey of this facility that's sitting right next to train tracks that's been there for close to 40 years. So, excuse me. Oh, whoops. Planning Department does support a positive recommendation for this application, provided the applicant meets the conditions of the conditional use permit. A lot of these are pretty standard comments we receive over this type of project. One of the, this is standard, if they end up cutting across our right-of-way or into our roads, excuse me, then they'll need to coordinate with Public Works. If they need new electrical or anything like that, they'll have to coordinate with BBEC. Washington State Department of Ecology provided a letter, comment. We'll get into the conditions recommended in a minute. This is, I'm sure they're aware of the Esquattle Canal drainage coulee, which is in close proximity. They've been operating out there for a long time. So as they expand this facility, they're going to need to make sure that they maintain those protocols. They may need to go and coordinate with ecology. Frankly, they've got other agencies that watch over them as well, and they're going to need to meet those minimum requirements as well. Not to mention, they're going to have to abide by whatever. And I know dealing with being in the right-of-way of a railway company is, it's almost like being in a different country. They have different rules and things like that. So, but Given the potential for impact to the surrounding agricultural land, extreme caution needs to be taken to ensure the protection of those waters from potential contamination due to this project. But that's pretty much the case with any proposal that we would be having out there. So it's not an unusual comment, but I did want to bring it to attention. So they all have to put in containment barriers and things like that in case there's, but I think that's a requirement just to operate. Yeah, under the state ecology and EPA. Yeah. So, recommended findings of fact are the proposed use in the I-2 zoning district is in accordance with the goals and policies of the county development regulations and the applicable comp plan. It's I-2, which is our industrial zone, and the underlying comp plan is rural industrial, again, and this is an industrial activity. The proposal will not adversely affect public infrastructure. It's already an operating plant. Is there, I'm sorry, and I probably should know this, but was there an expected increase of the truck volume or anything out there? That's what I thought. It's just storage capacity primarily. Proposal will be constructed, maintained, and operated, be in harmony with the existing or intended character of the general vicinity. Again, it's industrial. Site's been there for 40 years. I'm not aware of any public comments or concerns associated with the proposal in that time. Location, height of the structure, site design will not discourage development. It looks like a bunch of grain silos if you don't know what's in there. So in fact, if you don't know what's going on there, you could think it's just a grain loading facility, so no, it's going to be similar to what you see out there already when you see these types of, or the silos or whatnot. Will not be more objectionable to nearby properties by reason of noise, fumes, vibrations, dust, traffic, or flashing lights. Again, you got a train going by, however often the trains go by there. It's been in operation for close to 40 years, if not over. So apparently it's not disturbing anybody. They're not building them high enough that they're going to need aviation lights, if I recall correctly. Yeah, so there's not going to be an additional flashing lights or anything like that. The train, I think, is probably more disturbing than anything, but that's theirs. The proposal will not endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare if located where proposed. Again, it's located in a railroad right-of-way, and then they've already got existing access in and out to the facility. So, in addition to the standard CUP language, project shall comply with the requirements and recommendations of the Franklin County Planning and Building Department. They'll need to get a construction stormwater pollution prevention plan. They'll need to follow best management practices to manage dust during construction. Should archaeological materials, bones, shell, beads, ceramics, old bottles, hearse, etc., or human remains be observed during the project activities, all work inadvertent discovery protocols. If they do happen to come across something or find something, then they need to stop work, contact the proper authorities depending on what it is exactly, and then notification will go out to the tribes. Then they can figure out what it is. A drainage system shall be designed to capture and dispose of stormwater runoff on site. Project shall comply with the requirements and recommendations of the Franklin County Public Works. It is located in a right to farm area. Not that I think farming operations is going to affect the asphalt plant, but we always like to let people know. And there's a suggested motion. Yeah, suggested motion.
Okay,
Any
thanks,
questions?
Derek. Does any commissioner have questions of staff? I just have one. Derek, you said the CFID was a non-determination on that? Was that it?
It's called a determination of non-significance. With just because it's a DNS doesn't mean that there aren't necessarily conditions.
Right.
And generally what it means on a DNS, a determination of non-significance, means that any required conditions are already covered by existing law. An MDNS is when, this is how I do it. An MDNS, a mitigated determination of non-significance, is where we have conditions above and or beyond those that are already in law. So the requirement for construction stormwater permit, that's an ecology standard. It's already a state law. We just reiterate it. Inadvertent discovery protocols. Again, that whole process and determination process is through state law. So that's why it's a DNS.
Okay, great. Thanks, Derek. Does the applicant or the applicant's representative wish to speak?
Okay.
Okay, in-person testimony, for, against, or neutral regarding the project, if any? No, call-in public testimony, for, against, or neutral regarding the project, if any?
Nope.
Nope. Email public testimony, for, against, or neutral regarding the project, if any?
Nope.
None. Does staff have any final comments?
Nope.
Is there any clarification of public statements needed by anyone from the audience?
Nope.
The public testimony portion of public hearing for CUP 2022-02/SEPA 2022-09 is closed. Is there any discussion amongst the planning commission prior to entertaining a motion? Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
I second.
Nope. Somebody has to start a motion before you can second it.
Go ahead.
I move that the Franklin County Planning Commission recommend that the Board of County Commissioners adopt the 6 findings of fact and 10 conditions of approval detailed in the staff report and approve case file CUP 2022-02.
I second.
Second. So Commissioner Gutierrez and
Gutierrez.
Gutierrez? Okay. Excuse me. And seconded by,
Actually, it was moved by Harpster, seconded by Gutierrez.
okay, moved by Harpster, seconded by Commissioner Gutierrez, that we forward to the Board of Commissioners a recommendation of approval for CUP 2022-2/SEPA 2022-09 with 6 adopted findings of fact and 10 conditions of approval. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, may we have a roll call, please?
Mike Vincent,
Yes.
Stacy Knifton,
Yes.
Manny Gutierrez,
Yes.
Peter Harpster.
Yes.
The motion has carried.
So, as mentioned earlier, I can't remember what was said on camera, what was said beforehand, so I'm just going to go through it again.
What we have to do, granted that there's nobody here, but I guess there's that section of general public comment.
Time out. We're not there yet.
Uh,
Item number 2. Item number 2 is a public hearing for file subdivision 2022-04 SEPA 2022-12, a proposal for subdivision. Unfortunately, under Franklin County Code, in order to hold a hearing regarding a subdivision, comp plan, there's a few other items, we must have a minimum of 4 they must have a supermajority, or 4 out of the 7 commissioners must vote in order to provide a recommendation. As Mr. Harpster works for works for an agent of the applicant, he's had to recuse himself, which brings us down to only 3 commissioners able to vote. Therefore, this item has to be postponed until a future date. That said, staff, due to the fact that we really didn't have any attendance at the last workshop regarding Title 16, except for a couple people that had already seen the presentation, we canceled that workshop. So I'm rescheduling it for the 21st. I would have done the 28th. However, the 28th is the Board of County Commissioners is having their quarterly evening meeting. So on the 21st, we're going to be holding a special meeting, which is different than a workshop, and because we're going to be taking action at that meeting. We'll be sending out, we'll be posting it, notifying, everything like that. Plus, we're doing that now. So on this item, number 2, will be forwarded to that meeting. And then after that, we'll do the workshop on Title 16. If nobody attends then I'm going to tag it on the end of the July meeting. We've got to have that workshop. You guys got to know what's going on. And I really need the consultant who's putting all that stuff together in the room with you in case you have questions or concerns that they'll be able to address. So 21st is this, we'll move this to the 21st. The workshop will be on the 21st. Otherwise, we're going to have a very long meeting in July because it'll be this item, the workshop, plus 2 more items that are waiting in the wings. I would strongly hope that we only do it 2 at a time. It just makes life easier. So that item is postponed. Now we'd ask for public comments. And, go ahead.
Okay, well, and just to clarify, that the roll call, the previous motion had been approved. I don't know if we stated that or not.
We did.
Okay.
But yeah, yep.
So is there any public comment? Is there a member of the audience who wants to comment on items not listed on the agenda?
You guys can tell us how awesome we are.
Seeing none, administrative items, update on past items sent to BOCC for approval, brief discussion of items for next regular meeting on July 5th, 2022.
I already, actually, that's been updated such that we're looking at June 21st. I already kind of covered those items. The zoning change for Underwood was approved today by the board. So that's all taken care of as far as the property now is zoned to allow for the subdivision that is coming forward. Had it not been, or if there had been a delay or something, we would have pulled it from the agenda until that got addressed. But that got taken care of, so we're good to go on that. The property is now zoned for the subdivision.
So it looked like that
Spencer's,
time's pretty right.
no, what?
So it looked like the timing on that was good.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frankly, that rezone request, I mean, the comp plan said that's what it should be or could be. The request was not unusual. It wasn't spot zoning. We felt pretty confident that the board was going to follow the planning commission's recommendation on that. Then Rivercrest, yes, it was Rivercrest. That got approved, I want to say 2 weeks ago.
Wait, no, Rivercrest is going on the 21st.
What the hell did I take? Or,
Spencer Estates Phase 4.
was it Spencer's 4? Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. I've got a few subdivisions rolling around in my head, if you didn't notice. So I apologize. So Spencer's 4 was approved by the board. We've also had an update. This doesn't go to the planning commission because it involves the building code, but we also have repealed and replaced our title, or chapter 15. Oh, give me a second. .08, which is our flood damage prevention. So it's the requirements people have to go through if they happen to be building in a floodplain in order to get national flood insurance. So that was adopted today as well. So we're starting to move and starting to be able to focus a little bit more, especially since Ryan and Aaron came on board with us. We were able to focus a lot, start actually focusing on regulatory updates instead of just talking about them. So we're starting to move.
Sounds good.
So and that's it for me, unless there's questions.
Well, seeing none, I'll adjourn the meeting. Planning Commission meeting is adjourned at 7:41.